Thank you, Sophie. You're watching South East Today. Our top story tonight. A Thanet man who was held hostage as the war in Iraq broke out takes legal action against the UK government.
There should be some reckoning and there should be some accountability, and that's where we failed as a country.
A 17-year-old who died at a music festival at Dreamland is named as Emily Stokes. We're at Dreamland tonight with more on this. Take two for tea, a right royal welcome for campaigner Tony Hudgell. And Gardener's Delight, we meet some of the green-fingered talent exhibiting at Hampton Court. Hello, welcome to the programme. I'm Ellie Crisell. A man from Thanet who was held hostage at the start of the first Gulf War is taking legal action against the UK government and British Airways, accusing them of deliberately endangering civilians. Barry Manners from Cliftonville was among the passengers on a flight that landed in Kuwait in 1990, just as Iraqi forces invaded. More than 300 people on board were detained by Iraqi troops, some used by Saddam Hussein as human shields against Western attacks. Here's Simon Jones.
The remains of BA Flight 149, which landed in a war zone. It touched down to refuel in Kuwait as Iraqi armed forces were invading. Before the aircraft was destroyed on the runway, more than 300 people on board were detained by Iraqi troops, some used as human shields, an ordeal that lasted nearly 5 months. Among them Barry Manners, who repeatedly feared for his life.
On one occasion I'd upset one of the guards and he pulled out the gun and he's pointing at me saying, "I'm going to kill you," and there were a few expletives from his limited vocabulary. And you just sort of think, well, if that's it, that's it. You know, there's nothing I can do about it. And then the second occasion, something had triggered him. And then I got hit across the face, pistol whipped across the face, dragged, a gun against my head, and then he fired a shot just away from my ear.
Barry Manners is part of a legal action being brought by 94 passengers and crew members.
There is evidence that Flight BA 149 was used to insert a special ops team of former special forces and security services to be deployed into Kuwait using Flight BA 149, a passenger aircraft, despite the risk that it posed to passengers and crew.
Documents released in 2021 showed the Foreign Office was warned by the British ambassador in Kuwait that Iraqi forces had crossed the border an hour before the flight landed. The government has always denied the flight was used to insert special forces into Kuwait. The government said it wouldn't comment on ongoing legal issues, but told us last year the responsibility for these events and the mistreatment of those passengers and crew lies entirely with the government of Iraq at the time. BA did not respond to a request for a comment, but said recently, "Our hearts go out to all those caught up in this shocking act of war just over 30 years ago and who had to endure a truly horrendous experience." UK government records released in 2021 confirmed British Airways was not warned about the invasion.
It's been kind of warfare to get my life back on track and get to what I've had, now. A lot of others haven't been so lucky. There are particularly the younger, some of the children that were on the flight, their lives were utterly destroyed. And that's just simply not right. And that for that reason alone, it shouldn't stand.
There were celebrations when the hostages were finally released, but many say they have been suffering ever since and want that to be recognised.
Well, Simon Jones is in Cliftonville for us this evening. Simon, what happens next in this case?
Well, lawyers representing Mr. Manners and the 93 other claimants have written to the Foreign Office, the Cabinet Office, the Ministry of Defence and British Airways to outline their case and say they intend to take it to the High Court. Now, in some cases like this, they do get settled before they ever reach court. At other times, though, they lead to long, protracted legal battles. Because the government and BA have today refused to comment, I think it's difficult to predict where this one is going. But it's thought that the claimants are seeking around £170,000 each in damages. Now, Mr. Manners told me that after he was released as a hostage, the only compensation he had from BA was they refunded his ticket that he used to fly to Kuwait, and they also gave him money for lost luggage totalling £200.
Simon, thank you. A 17-year-old who died after attending a music festival over the weekend has been named locally as Emily Stokes. Tributes have been paid to the teenager who had been at an all-day event at Dreamland in Margate on Saturday before falling ill. Her family say police are investigating the circumstances surrounding her death amid reports she was spiked while at the festival. Let's cross over to Margate now and speak to our reporter James Lewis, who's there for us this evening. James, her family paid tribute to Emily today.
Yeah, that's right. We've been hearing from the teenager's older sister, Megan, who has set up a GoFundMe page. And in that page, she's written quite a moving tribute to her sister. She said, "Emily was the kindest person you could ever meet. She was so full of life, and to have her taken away so suddenly at just only 17 years old has completely broken me." We've also heard from other voices today as well, including District Councillor. They have been saying while concert-style music events have been a positive influence on Margate's regeneration, these particular raves are bringing unwanted trouble. And they also added this is tarnishing the town's reputation.
And what of the venue, Dreamland, behind you there? What have representatives from there had to say?
Well, as you can imagine, they're working very closely with police officers at the moment since Saturday, and they've released their own statement as well. This is what they've said: "Our thoughts and prayers are with the young woman's family and friends, and we will continue to work closely with Kent Police where relevant as they investigate this tragedy further." And this is an ongoing police investigation, so we will bring you more details as we have it.
James, thank you. A trial has started today after a woman from Lewis died at a slapping therapy workshop. 71-year-old Danielle Cargom died after she stopped taking her insulin and fasted at the alternative therapy session. Hongqi Xiao, who led the workshop, has pleaded not guilty to manslaughter and gross negligence. The trial continues tomorrow at Winchester Crown Court. School staff Sussex are striking over financial concerns at schools in Brighton. Members of the National Education Union were on picket lines at all 5 of the University of Brighton Academy Trust's schools. The union claims that schools are not receiving all the funding they're allocated and that teachers are overworked as a result. The Trust says it remains committed to negotiations and implementing change. Now, it's 3 days until polling day in the general election, and all the political parties are ramping up their campaigning. The Liberal Democrat leader, Sir Ed Davey, was urging people to take the plunge in Sussex this morning as he took part in an eye-catching stunt. Our political editor, Charlotte Wright, rounds up the party's messages in the final week of the campaign.
As political parties rise to the challenge of making their final pitches to the public, here's one man hoping for a bounce back in the southeast.
3, 2, 1, bungee!
The Lib Dem leader's latest election stunt was in Eastbourne today, a seat once held by his party and one they want to win again on Thursday. But Sir Ed Davey has his sights set further too.
Do something you've never done before!
The number of seats we think we in for a chance has increased over the campaign in places like Tunbridge Wells and Sevenoaks and Lewis and Chichester and here in Eastbourne, in Mid Sussex, in Horsham, in so many parts of the southeast. And I could go on. It's a Liberal Democrat vote that can get rid of the Conservative.
Vote tactically.
People make up their mind who can win.
Labour are campaigning on what has been Tory territory too, unveiling this new advert on a billboard in Rochester.
We're fighting really hard in Medway. We took control of the council here back in May 2023, and we know there are people in Medway that feel let down by 14 years of the Conservatives, and they're putting their trust in a changed Labour Party led by Keir Starmer.
The broad point we want to make that under the Conservatives, your taxes will be lower than under Labour, considerably lower. We've got inflation under control, that's now down to 2%. We've kept unemployment low. We've got the fastest growing economy in the G7, and we've already started to reduce the taxes on hard-working families.
This one-time Tory MP for Maidstone is sceptical. Anne Widdecombe was back in Kent on Sunday campaigning for her new party, Reform UK, where she was asked if she'd ever go back to the Conservatives.
I think I'd probably, even if there were to be a miracle, stay with Reform as long as Reform's around, because I think it has pretty well saved Britain. It's performed the role that I would previously have looked to the Conservative Party to perform.
Meanwhile, the Greens, who launched their manifesto in Hove last month, have been making their case too.
Vote Green, wherever you are in the country, to send a strong message to the other parties that you want action to defend our environment and restore our public services, but also to have a group of Green MPs inside Parliament so that we can be influencing the debate in Parliament just as we have been in this election.
So hang in there. Only 3 days to go until polling day, after which politicians will finally see how their messages really land with the public.
Well, Charlotte Wright joins me now. And Charlotte, some of that campaigning has been light-hearted, but there's also been a very serious incident over the weekend.
Yes, we're told that a councillor was attacked on Saturday evening while putting up an election poster for the Conservative candidate in East Worthing and Shoreham. It happened on Brighton Road in Sompting. Now, the victim suffered a head injury, was taken to hospital, but is now recovering at home. Sussex police say they've arrested a 63-year-old man on suspicion of affray, criminal damage and assault causing actual bodily harm. He's been released on bail. Now, the Conservative candidate in East Worthing and Shoreham, Layla Williams, has now told her supporters not to put up any more posters for fear of other attacks. She says fear and intimidation has no place in politics. That's a message that is echoed by the Labour candidate Tom Rutland, who says he's horrified by what's happened. And you can see a full list of candidates standing in that constituency on the BBC website.
Charlotte, thank you. We're being warned to be aware of measles symptoms in adults. It follows a rise in cases in the South East. The Director of Public Health for East Sussex says the highly contagious virus is usually associated with children, but the majority of cases reported in the region have been in adults. Symptoms include a flu-like illness with sore eyes and a rash. Operation Brock is to be reinstated on the M20 ahead of the summer break. The traffic management system aims to manage the flow of traffic heading to the Port of Dover. It sees lorries queue on one side of the carriageway, with the other side operating as a contraflow. It will be reinstated on Wednesday, the 10th of July, with no confirmed date for when it will be lifted. Now, he missed out on the King's Garden party after getting stuck in traffic. But campaigner Tony Hudgell from Kings Hill is all smiles again after attending a very special private gathering with Queen Camilla instead. The 9-year-old double amputee had tea with the Queen at her London residence, as Yetinder Yusuf reports.
I was supposed to go to a garden party, but we got stuck in traffic.
This is Tony Hudgell on the M20. He was supposed to be at the King's Garden party, but after several hours in traffic, he went back home. His adoptive mother, Paula, posted the picture on social media, and he soon received a surprise message.
The Queen's team said, "So sad that you didn't make the garden party today. We found out that I was having a private one with another person called Lila."
Really nice to get you here today.
In a dream come true, Tony was invited again to Buckingham Palace, hosted by the Queen, alongside Lila O'Donovan, who had also missed the occasion.
We couldn't come to the garden party last month because I was in hospital. We sat around the table and we just chatted for a bit.
The annual summer parties are highly sought after, with a prestigious guest list, including those who've made a contribution to charity. Tony Hudgell from Kings Hill had been recognised for his work in preventing child abuse. So it was even more special that he got to have his own personal party at the palace.
You're very special.
The occasion ended with a royal seal of approval, as Tony was awarded a British Empire Medal. A day I'm sure he'll never forget.
Very happy.
Yetinder Yusuf, BBC South East Today.
Now it's almost 10 to 7, a reminder of our top story tonight. A man from Thanet who was held hostage at the start of the First Gulf War is taking legal action against the UK government and British Airways, accusing them of deliberately endangering civilians. Barry Manners from Cliftonville was among the passengers on a flight that landed in Kuwait in 1990 as Iraqi forces invaded. Also in tonight's programme, your voice, your vote, but what if you decide not to? We've been finding out how many of us just don't bother.
And you may have noticed it's a bit cooler, and that's going to continue through the rest of the week. We've got some light rain in the forecast, also some sunshine too. I'll have more for you coming up.
On to sport now, and lots happening, starting with international cricket in Hove. The county ground is hosting an under-19s match between England and Sri Lanka at the First Central County Ground. Our sports reporter James is there for us now. Hello James, there's some big names on the pitch and also some big names in the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. England managed to win, and you don't have to be a cricket fan to recognise the name Flintoff. Now, on the pitch today, we're talking about Rocky Flintoff, age 16, playing for the under-19s, and he is the son of the England legend Freddie Flintoff, who was in and about the crown, certainly turning a few heads. Now, Rocky was out for 3 today, but he is certainly one to watch for the future, and that's what Sussex cricket are all about at the moment. Now, this was a free event just to get people through the door. Last month they had 3,000 school children in to watch one of the women's games, and with the age of the classic county cricket crowd rising, I asked the club if this is all part of a concerted effort to get more people, younger people, through the gates.
We want to get as many people in the ground as possible, whether that's boys, girls, men, women, people with disabilities, whatever it might be, and we're just going to give them the opportunity to come here and watch some great quality cricket, hopefully inspire them, and then hopefully they come back in the future, and whether that's to play the game or to come watch.
Well, I've got some Olympics news for you now. Great news for Shoreham's Bryony Pittman. He will be going to Paris as part of the archery team. The squad secured their spot in the Olympics at the final opportunity in Turkey last month, and this will be Pittman's second Olympics after going to Tokyo.
It's absolutely fantastic. I think we've had a really great couple of years, especially in the team event, and to have qualified at one of the last chances as well, it's absolutely fantastic, and I think it shows that we're on good form going into the games as well.
Also announced today are 2 members of the shooting team from Kent. We've got Mike Bergeron, who's the head of shooting at Sevenoaks School. We've also got Nathan Hales from Sheppey, currently number 2 in the world, who broke a world record in the trap last year.
Really excited, a lot of nerves, a lot of adrenaline, excitement. Just can't wait to get out there.
Absolutely phenomenal. To be honest, can't really believe it, but yeah, I managed to win my quota about 2 months ago in Rio de Janeiro, and it's been a long 60 days, but finally here, and yeah, happy to say I've been selected. So.
Tennis now, and Sonny Cartel from Hove is in action at Wimbledon as we speak. You can see now we're bringing you the pictures from the live feed. She qualified over the weekend. She's playing the 29th seed, Sorana Castella, and some people had marked this one as a match for a potential upset, although she is behind at the moment. You can watch that, of course, on the BBC. On to football now, because we've got some major transfer news from Brighton and Hove Albion. They have signed the 19-year-old winger Yankuba Minte from Newcastle in a deal understood to be worth around £30 million, which isn't a record signing, but it's not far off. The winger scored 10 goals for the Dutch side at Feyenoord last season, where he was on loan. He's the first major signing since the announcement of their new head coach, Fabian Hürzeler. We've also got some news from Crawley Town, where it looks like the exodus is well underway. Now, it was a giant celebration at the end of last season as they secured promotion to League One via the playoffs after many had tipped them for relegation. Well, Danilo Orsi, their 26-goal striker, he is on his way out to Burton Albion. You can probably also see the guy in the bucket hat, Clyde Lolos. He's another striker. He is going to Bolton Wanderers. We've have also got their keeper, Corey Adai. He's on his way out to League One rivals Stockport County. So lots of changes there at Crawley Town. There's been some incomings too, the latest being Scott Malone, an experienced defender from Gillingham. Now, don't forget, you can get all of your transfer news and gossip on the BBC website. There's also a dedicated Olympics page, and we will be bringing you exclusive interviews from some of the most promising athletes from the South East over the next couple of weeks.
Great roundup. Thank you, James. Now, on Thursday, if you hadn't noticed, the nation goes to the polls to elect our next government. But how many of us will actually bother to vote? Last time around in 2019, at least a quarter of people in most areas of the South East didn't. Peter Whittlesey has been out and about canvassing opinion in Dartford, where last time around over a third of people decided not to head to the polling booth.
Will you be voting? Madam, will you be voting in the general election?
Are you going to vote, sir?
Give us a push.
Why? I don't need a push. You go. Are you going to vote, sir?
No. She's already voted.
That's all I want to know.
All right. Bye.
Is if you're going to vote or not.
Bye. Faster.
Would you put the thing in saying you're not going to vote?
Hello.
Ah. Are you going to vote in the general election, sir? No.
If you fold it over and put it in my box, that would be brilliant.
What do you think of my made-up ballot box?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Really, it's a bit rubbish, isn't it? And which one do you want me to put it in? No vote.
By God's grace, I'm going to vote.
It's a bit Blue Peter, this, isn't it?
The general election is just days away, so with 2 homemade ballot boxes and a megaphone, I went to Dartford to see if you'll be voting or staying at home on Thursday.
In this one, yeah?
Yeah. Tell me why you don't vote, though.
It's pointless. Get lied to. Are you going to be voting or not voting?
Maybe.
Maybe?
Yes.
Why only
well,
maybe?
They're a bunch of liars, cheats and thieves, aren't they, for a start? So it makes you wonder why you bother. Don't you agree?
I do always vote, but more so this time because the country is in such a mess.
What are you listening to?
Diana Ross, Temptations, everything.
Are you tempted to vote, sir?
I'm going to vote and I've already voted.
Why am I going to vote? For my kids, for my future.
And do you make a point of always voting?
Always, never miss a vote.
Why is that?
To stand up for our country.
Tony, tell me what the most important issue in this general election is.
NHS.
Put it on that card, please. Use my back if you want.
My daughter waited 10 years just to get a house with my 3 grandchildren. That's a big issue.
Actually, because I work with the NHS.
NHS, that's the big issue. Who's going to give you more money?
Yes. I'm more paid for the nurses.
To be honest, I'm confused.
Confused, right? Confused on that card then, maybe? Oh, not much longer. My knees will give up. Put the pen back in my pocket, please. And see that voting? If you put it in there, that'd be perfect. Thank you very much, madam, for your time. This is incredible. The number of people who are going to vote is this pile. And let's see how many are not going to vote. So this isn't scientific, it's just a quick snapshot. We had 38 people who said that they would vote and just 4 people who said they weren't going to vote.
Peter Whittlesey, BBC South East Today, Dartford.
Excellent Blue Peter efforts, Peter. Well, this is how you can get in touch with us, and we will be covering your stories across the BBC in the run-up to polling day. You can find out more at bbc.co.uk/Kent, Sussex and Surrey. Tell us about your story, why it matters to you and what politicians need to do about it. It's that time of year again, when flower shows inspire us with acres of green-fingered talent, including designs from gardeners right here in the South East. The Hampton Court Palace Garden Festival opens its gates to visitors tomorrow, and Charlie Rose has been meeting some of those taking part.
A trolley full of tasty treats. If you're a moth, that is.
Here we have some Nicotiana, some oxeye daisies. We have plants with a beautiful soft landing pad. The colour selection is very pale because that's the last colour to be seen at night. We've got the Echium vulgaris, or the Viper's bull gloss, which is a favourite for moths and moth caterpillars.
The flowers fill the evening air with delicious smells. And when the sun has disappeared, this garden is designed to come alive with insects.
It's a magical moment at night time, and we can enjoy our gardens at night time. We can pick up scent at night time, we can sit and relax. There are many stories written about nature during the night time.
It's Sarah's first time exhibiting at the Hampton Court Palace Garden Festival. But in Kent, Peter Cox is more of a veteran.
This rose is one of my particular favourites. It's a French variety bred by Delbar, and it's called Marc Chagall. And that's a lovely rose. It's absolutely beautiful, lovely light green foliage and a really nice smell. And this one is very much sort of on trend at the moment. It's an American variety called Twilight Zone.
But there's nothing science fiction about his gardening methods. Just some good old-fashioned pruning and very careful timing.
Every year we have to manipulate the crop and synchronise all the different varieties to try and hit that 1 week. And we do that by a system of pruning from the end of April till more or less the end of May, taking each variety and each type of rose in turn, pruning them and getting them to regrow and flower for the Hampton Court week.
A show full of colourful and sweet-smelling blooms, for the pleasure of those on 2 legs and 6. Charlie Rose, BBC South East Today, Brighton.
Now, some nice weather for gardeners coming up. Sophia is here to tell us all about it. Hello, Sophia.
Hello, yes, and if you do like the cooler weather, it is going to be a week for you because temperatures are going to be slightly below average for this time of year, but feeling warm in the sunshine. We had a bit of sunshine around through this morning, but feeling a lot cooler under the clouds, some cloudy conditions, and it is going to be cloudy as we have a look to tomorrow. We have some patchy rain in the forecast as well. Now through the rest of this evening it's going to stay cloudy into tomorrow morning, temperatures staying mild though at around 12 to 14 Celsius. Through tomorrow, holding on to that cloud, it's largely dry, although you could still catch a shower, and it will be slightly cooler tomorrow, temperatures below average for this time of year at around 17 to 18 Celsius. Now, as we have a look to the rest of Tuesday evening, we could see some breaks in that cloud for a time, but then more cloud building in once again as we start the day tomorrow morning. Mild as well as we start the day at around 11 or 12 Celsius. Drier for a time, but then we've got some potential showers moving in through the morning, but those should clear away once again by the afternoon. But we do hold on to that cloud. It is going to be breezy though through on Wednesday. Temperatures at around 16 to 18 Celsius. So I suspect it will feel cooler under the cloud and with that breeze. The breeze continues into Thursday as well, but we see these weather fronts pushing their way eastwards. It's going to be drier and brighter on Thursday, feeling warmer in the sunshine as well. But then we've got another weather front moving in on Friday. It should weaken though, only bringing us some patchy rain. So it's quite a changeable week as we have a look to next week. This week ahead, it's going to be temperatures quite cool at around 20 Celsius at the high. Not feeling quite as summery as it has done, Ellie.
Indeed, but some welcome rain, I suppose. Thank you very much, Sophia. That is it from me and Sophia and everyone. Ian Palmer is back at 10:30. Bye-bye for now.